Welcome back to the Coach's Corner podcast. It is Brian and Coach Mo. On today's episode, we're going to talk about our latest adventure. We're going to dive headlong into AAU basketball. We're going to talk about what to expect, what not to expect, and how it's going to fundamentally look different and what we think this means for our kids that are in the program. We have our tryout coming up this Sunday, and so we're very excited about it, so we figured we share some of that. Coach Mo, do you have anything?
No, we definitely are excited and thankful that here in the state of Nebraska that we were able to make it through a season of basketball. But as we know, the next part is spring and summer in AAU, and we're going to give you guys a heads up of what we're doing and kind of what AAU will mean to us and what it will mean to kids that are in our program and just kids generally playing this summer.
So that's what we got on today's episode. We're going to get to you guys after the intro. Thanks for tuning in. Peace. We're back. So, want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We want to wrap up the season for our kids that are current, that we just finished up with. Thank you guys for coming out and participating and being the kind of players that we want you to grow into, doing what you need to do on the court, handling business. The work doesn't stop. The grind does not stop. So, hopefully, our 8th grade team is going to be transitioning to high school, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we have some kids that are getting some looks. People are paying attention to them in a major way. And so we're really proud of that. And we're proud of all of our kids that have come out to participate in services, whether you are on one of our teams or you play for somebody else. Basketball Academy has been popping. And we might have to make some adjustments to our Wednesday night, but the Wednesday night has been a welcome addition back into our services. So we're trying to work out some things to keep that stable, but if we need to, we'll adjust it. But overall, things have been going really, really good. The addition of the Thursday night has been great for development and for kids that are really trying to level up. And so those are the things that we got going on in our Basketball Academy program. We mentioned this before, mention it again. We're going to shift the focus from Basketball Academy, from running teams, to actual basketball development stuff. Now, it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself because we're talking about our AAU team. We're considering the AAU and the summer ball program as separate things from our Basketball Academy. They're still going to be getting the same Basketball Academy services, but they exist as separate things. These are basically showcase events for the kids involved. And so the idea is to try to get as much spotlight on these kids so that they can go out there and show what they can do. And we're going to talk about the difference in terms of what our philosophy is from AAU to, our regular in-season programming. We're going to talk about some of that stuff, and we're also going to talk about what some of the benefits we see are for these AAU players. Coach Mo, anything to add on to that?
No, I think that's definitely a good start, and we're going to, definitely jump in there. And one thing, what I love about these podcasts, we bring up, we bring up a lot of these topics, but we definitely want some of your guys' feedback after this. And Brian always talks about it. Ask us questions. And I appreciate I got a lot of messages this week about what AAU looks like, what it is. And we want that to continue. And that's kind of our the podcast goal, is to make you think about something you might not have thought before, think about it a different way, and then to have questions.
Yep. And this episode, we're going to spend a lot of time kind of discussing what to expect with the AAU program. So this is going to be our question. This is going to be our info session. We're just going to dump all the information in here, and you can kind of go through, and if you're interested in participating, you can get started, and hopefully we can answer a lot of your questions. We're always available to answer questions. www.coachmoathletics.com is the website. coachmoathletics@gmail.com is our business email, and those are the two methods you can reach us. Plus, we're always on Facebook and stuff like that. So just hit us up on any one of those avenues if you have any more granular questions about it. But we're going to jump into it. So, what is AAU, Coach Mo?
All right, so AAU, so let me tell you the difference here. And so you have AAU is basically it's more travel basketball. And so what I mean by travel is you'll play some in your city because a lot of cities actually host their own summer leagues and those things there, or they're close to it. Like we're in the Midwest, so we're very close to Kansas City, and we're somewhat close to Chicago. So you're not traveling super far, and so you're traveling and you're leaving and playing competition that is very good or top competition in their grade level, and it's the idea of getting exposure and the challenge of playing those top teams. And so you're getting out of your state or your comfort zone in a sense and playing those. And there's these teams you try out for an AAU team. And the reason why you're trying to put the best product on the court. And what we mean by that is you're going to want 10 serious guys or girls on your team to have the same goal as each kid does, is to win games, play as hard as you can, get exposure, follow what the coach says, be coachable, hustle, do everything it takes for you guys to be very competitive. Now, the thing about it, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is you may not win every game in AAU. And that's really... your goal is to win, yes, but the goal is how you win. If you are playing the so-called top ranked team in the country for the U16s and they've blown every team out the year before by 50 points, and then your team comes in there and they barely beat you by 5, recruiters and just coaches and people see that, they're like, whoa, this is a very competitive team. And so that's a win in a sense that you might have a guy that dropped 25 points on the nation's so-called top point guard for that age group and held him down to 10. That's going to get that kid noticed.
And, okay, so let's build off of that because we got to discuss this win at all cost mentality, especially when it comes to AAU basketball, because when it comes to AAU basketball, that win at all cost mentality isn't really going to work, because here's what's happening. You're playing against the children and grandchildren of some of the greatest basketball players. Mm-hmm. The current luminaries and some retired luminaries of college level basketball and pro basketball. You're playing against coaches' kids. You're playing against second and third and sometimes even fourth generation ballers. And some of these kids have been playing at a super high level for a long, long time. So the expectation that you're going to go in and dominate every AAU team is misplaced. The idea is we want to give these kids a showcase. We want to give them an ability. So if your shot isn't falling, we want you to be out rebounding everybody. If you've turned the ball over 3 times, we expect that you're diving on the floor to get the ball. This is opportunity to show the scouts and the coaches in the stands what you're possibly capable of, because not everybody's going to go out there and be, Bronny. They're not going to go out there and dominate the game, but they can show what they're willing to do to be on the court. And that's what's important. And I think people get so wrapped up, especially when we're talking about local tournaments and things like that. People get so wrapped up in the concept of winning. Winning is the most important thing, that they forget that a lot of these kids, and Mo can tell you, other AAU teams that he's coached, they may not have had the winningest season or mini season in AAU, but the kids' performances in that AAU tournament, where they may not have been the most competitive. Well, they were competitive, but they were outmatched. Those kids still got the offers. They still got colleges looking at them, having those conversations, getting their name on a national stage. So detach yourself from the winning is great, but with the AAU stuff, especially since, it's a fledgling program. We're just getting out here. We feel like our kids can compete with anybody in the country, but we're going in wide-eyed knowing that we might run into a buzzsaw or two. We just want our kids to just lay out on the line and do everything they can to win the game, but show these other coaches that you're going to hustle. Show the recruiters that you're willing to dive on the ground. Show the recruiters that you're willing to make the extra smart pass as opposed to the ill-advised shot. Those are the things. Show them that you're going to hustle on defense. That, this kid, he's been dominating everybody else, but you held him to 10 points. That's the stuff that we're using AAU to showcase to get a little bit more spotlight on our kids. Do we want to win? Yeah. But is it going to come at the expense of letting these kids get out there and showcase what they're able to do? I don't know. So we need you to adjust your expectations for this, because this is not like regional tournaments and local tournaments. And even with regional local tournaments, the bottom line is we want the kids to go out there and get better so that they can learn the lessons so that they can compete at high school and college levels. AAU is a showcase. Show out. Whatever you do it fast. And do it aggressively and assertively.
Yep. Exactly. But one thing as being a coach for this many years is I'd rather, and I think like a recruiter too, I'd rather take the kid that's the first one down the court playing defense, getting on the ground, grabbing rebounds, being a vocal leader, not pouting on the sideline, not kicking chairs because your things aren't going your way, and put that kid on my team. Because we can work on skills. You can't work on heart.
Right.
You can't order it off of Amazon. A box of heart. You can't do that. I can order all this stuff to prepare you to get ready, but if you don't have heart, you just don't have heart. But I'll take the kid with heart.
Well, and the upshot is, while it is a showcase, understand other things are going to be magnified. So if you out there on the sidelines with the boo-boo face, or you blow a layup and you're hanging your head and all that other stuff, those coaches are going to see that too. So it's a double-edged sword. Being under the microscope is great as long as it's highlighting the things that you want them to see. But if you have bad behaviors or if you have bad habits, AAU could actually blow your chances, because you show those bad habits of a player who can't accept feedback or can't shake off a bad shot and it just plagues them the rest of the game. You could really find yourself in a bad position pretty quick on a national scale. And then you're going to have to spend the next AAU season proving that you've grown out of that. So this is kind of a shot across the brow for the players and the parents. Hold your kids to a standard where if they have a bad game, they can blow it off. And even if they're having a bad game on some levels, if they're having a bad shooting game, they're doing all the other things to keep themselves in the game and contribute to hopefully a team win, or help contributing to a competitive team, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how we're structuring this AAU thing for this season and what we're looking to see and what we definitely don't want to see. So we'll get to you guys after the break. All right, we're back. So we're going to talk about some things that we're going to need to see and how we're specifically structuring, this AAU season, because this is our inaugural season. And so we're trying to eliminate a lot of headaches before they appear. But, especially in an inaugural season, nothing's perfect. So this is how we have it structured as of right now. Initially, we're going to have our AAU team that travels. We're also going to be running concurrently a summer ball team that stays local and plays local tournaments. You might be in a 3-on-3 tournament. You might be on a 5-on-5 tournament. But the idea is we're trying to keep you running. The summer ball local tournament is basically the reserve squad for the AAU. So at any point in time, if you have the ability and you're able to, you're able to travel and able to cover the other AAU expenses, you can be called up to that program. You can be called up to the AAU team and the travel team. That's what we're going with. So if you come out for a tryout, you don't quite make the AAU program, it's not saying you're a terrible player or anything. We're saying you may not be quite ready for prime time at that point in time, or because there's going to be certain expectations, your parents, you and Coach Mo have a conversation, and it's kind of determined that you're not going to be able to make all the practices that we're going to require, or you're not going to be able to commit to the AAU schedule once we get that generated. If you can't do that, then but you want to play. You still want to play. We will probably offer you a position on that reserve squad so that you can stay balling, but you may not be able to fully commit to the AAU lifestyle. Because here's the thing, we're really structuring the AAU program as a high school team. So, we're going to have kids that anywhere from what age to what age, Coach Mo? What are you thinking?
So you're going to go seventh grade till 16, which is usually a sophomore going into junior year.
Right.
And now the rules to that is you can't be a 17-year-old sophomore. You can't. I know some people your birthday might fall a different way, but you can't play on you'd have to be on a 17U team, and we're just doing highest 16U right now.
So let's say we get, let's say we find a phenomenal fifth grader, right?
Yep.
What are we going to do with them?
Come out. I say if you think you can play at that level and come on out. Just come on out and see what happens. Because here's the other options we have. One thing about us, we want everybody to get a chance to get developed or those things there. But we also don't want to miss opportunity on kids. So if they come out, if they're not quite there, but they're phenomenal there, we want you to stay around. And that's where we we have the local team. And so if you want to stay around, that kid can play up and wants to do some of the local stuff is there. Also, we still have our basketball academy where they can get training still. So they still hang out, they still get training, they still get some game speed kind of stuff. And then eventually, if they want to maybe have a trial for the fall, something like that too, they're right at the forefront there. But we want to keep that kid around. So I say, if you feel that you can do it, show up Sunday and let us gotta determine that.
Yeah, if you can play up, if we think that we could put you out there with those 8th graders and you'll hold your own, there's a good chance that you're going to get on that roster. But you have to be able to demonstrate you can hold your own. So we're saying all that to say this. The way we're structuring it is, again, we have our AAU traveling team that travels, and then our reserve team. And the reserve team is going to stay local. Now, the expectations of practice and stuff are going to be similar. So if you want to be considered to even start on that even reserve squad, you got to make the practices. You have to make, I think we said 2 practices a week and then 1 open court session. You got to make those. Now, that's going to be the expectation for to remain on the AAU roster. You got to make those 2 practices. You got to make that open court session. That's just it. But we would prefer for our local kids that they make every practice, every team activity session they possibly can. And if they want to move up, they have to make all of it. That's what the expectation is. So
because that AAU level is tough. It's tough. Like we said at the beginning, you're playing the best of the best. So those teams that are playing us are not taking their foot off the gas. They are gonna come ready to play. They're not. No one needs to motivate them. No one needs to hype them up. No one needs to get them ready to play. They are coming in ready to play. That ball taps, and they are immediately on a full court press.
Right. And so
you got to be ready to go.
You got to be ready to go. And so we'll say this, I talked about bad habits. Say we have an AAU kid. He's on the AAU program. He misses a couple of shots. Shoulders drop. Lip starts poking out. He starts doing the boo-boo face, which we call where they're the pouty face. You're going to sit down.
Right.
I understand we said AAU is a showcase. And what we're trying to do is we're sitting you down so that the important people in the crowd do not see you pouting on a court.
Say that quote. We're trying to save you from yourself.
We're saving you from yourself, because if it gets out that this kid's attitude sucks, that could be a death blow for any future opportunities you have. So you miss a couple of shots, fine, we won't pull you. You miss a couple of shots, you start pouting and it starts affecting other parts of your game, we'll pull you. You miss a couple of shots, you start pouting and it does affect other parts, and it does not affect other parts of the game, we're going to pull you. So you got to be cognizant of that. Cognizant for the kids that are listening means aware. You have to be aware of the fact that your attitude, your affect, the way that your body posture is, it doesn't change. You have to go out there and compete. So you miss a couple of shots, that means you're on the floor getting the rebound. You're making the good pass.
Yep.
You're playing harder on defense. You're doing other things to contribute, because that matters to the people in the crowd. They're going to see this kid's out there like they screwed up a couple of things, but they have a good attitude about it and they're still playing the game. They're not disengaged from the game. If you start doing that crap, you're going to get pulled. And you're going to sit down, because we're trying to save you from damaging your chances.
This is going to be the end of, and I've always kind of felt this when you get emotional. It's the end of playing time woes and concerns. It's the end of that. So it can't be, because here's AAU. You could be a starter for game one, and the whole roster could change in game two because of the matchups, because it's different. If we go out and we don't have a huge team, like we don't have a 7-foot kid in game two, you have 2 7-foot kids. We could try to run small ball, but maybe we put some of our bigger kids in just to see what happens, and the roster might change. The last thing an AAU coach is going to want to hear, it we won't stand for, is a parent coming up in the middle of the game or after the game and complaining about playing time. Like, this is AAU. That matchup just didn't work. It's my decision. And if you don't like it, you can leave. And that's what I would say with most AAU coaches. We're trying to put the best product on the floor each time. You might have a game that might be rough for all of us. We're trying to see what rosters work. But to think that there's a guaranteed spot in the starting lineup, or you think that's a concern for yours, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're not watching what's going on during the game.
Well, and to feed off of that, we're going to give the kids the opportunity to be on the spotlight and on the stage. They have to make the most of the moment. And so even if the matchup ain't favorable, and that's the matchup we got to roll with because we have a limited travel roster, you got to go out there. So we have 2 7-footers on there, and we have the smallest guy on the court. He still needs to be out there getting rebounds and trying to play good defense on those kids that are a foot taller than him, because the people in the crowd are going to see that. And here's the thing. We know how this basketball thing works. You can be 5'2" until your junior year in high school, and then 1 year, next thing you know, you're dealing with a 6'6" kid, and so they could see if the kid is what the way they phrase it, a puppy with big paws, a kid that has feet to grow into.
Yep.
They can see that and say, okay, so at 5'3", this kid is doing this. What's he going to look like when he hits 6 feet? If he's out there playing hard defense and diving on the floor and doing all the other things, when you get some height to him, now you add another dimension to the game. And so that's what we're really testing out. We want to see how well this showcases the kids. When we're doing this, we would love to create, and I'm probably, since I do the web design and stuff, we're going to create a AAU page for the kids. It highlights them. We're going to be reaching out to the parents and guardians to give us highlights and give us bios of these kids, so we can talk about what schools they're going to, what social media they're active on, and put all that stuff on the page so that the powers that be can log on and see, okay, this is where this kid is, and this is how we can follow what they do. So we're really trying to build up the showcase piece of this and make it serious. And here's the thing. If this AAU season goes really well, and we get the highlights and get the attention on the kids that we're really pushing for, we may open it up to other levels. We may have a girls AAU program. That's wild, and I don't know if there's a lot of them around here, but if it's viable, we'll pursue it, because our goal ultimately is to get these kids the attention that will benefit them moving forward, so they can go to school for free. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. So we're really, like I said, we're putting a lot into this. So I think what we'll do is we're going to take a pause for the cause, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the stuff that nobody wants to talk about, which is fees. We're going to talk about fees. We're going to talk about sponsorships, and we're going to start talking about how this is going to look tentatively. So we'll take a pause for the cause. We'll be right back to you. Okay, so we're back, y'all. We don't have a heck of a whole lot of time because we got some other things we got to take care of regarding basketball academy programming and things like that. So we're going to try to wrap this up best we can. Again, this is a podcast that we're going to post live, but we're also making it an information session for parents that are interested in our AAU program. So the turnaround time on this one's going to be quick in terms of me editing this thing and getting it posted. So what are the fees? We're looking at so after we do our tryouts and we decide this is who we want on the AAU roster, the fee, if you want to be on the traveling team, is going to be $600. We figure that's a nice, happy medium for what we've seen extreme and what we've seen where people are going into debt to finance this thing. And so we're trying to make sure that, we collect that up front so we can take care of, because we got to get new uniforms run. I got to basically pay for a new web page so that we can add all the different profiles and stuff. So a lot of value is going into that $600. So I'm going to be collecting. So if you make the AAU roster, once you pay that $600, we'll get your profile posted on the page, and you'll get our travel schedule, and so that you can plan out what your summer is. Right now, Coach Mo, where are we looking at traveling this year?
Right now, we are looking at Kansas City.
Kansas City twice, right?
Kansas City, looks like Kansas City twice. And a couple places right outside of Kansas City, we'll consider them. You're like 20, 30 minutes out. It looks like Wichita's on there. It looks like Minnesota. A lot of these things are going to be kind of a month-to-month idea because of COVID restrictions. And that's not anything we're doing. That those places, we will schedule these. But if numbers pick up with COVID, those things may change. They may change. A lot of them are going to just kind of determine on those, but those are some of the places we're looking at. And then, fortunately, we got a few tournaments. I think our first one will actually be in Omaha.
Yep.
In Omaha, and I think we have one in Lincoln. So we're going to have some there. So that's pretty good.
What kind of time commitment in terms of how many months will this AAU thing for the summer run?
You're looking at starting in April. You'll have a few things in May, a few things in June, July. Typically, you're over in July. That last week of July, but we'll have some kids that get selected to different camps along the way, which is the goal. Exposure camps, invitationals, and they may go to that first week of August, right before like football and something like that starts.
And I believe was it Atlanta? That's kind of the goal. If your kid shows out and gets that invite, Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it changes every year. Like I know Atlanta's been like kind of the place where it's like the finale to these kind of things there. Depending on what circuit you're on. Again, a lot of it's going to go off of what's happening with COVID and stuff, but Atlanta's been one. I think in the past, Indianapolis has been something in the past. So we're just we'll keep everybody informed, and they'll tell you kind of along the way, like, hey, there's 3 kids selected, and in July this is going to happen. You have a big heads up before then.
And so really there's a lot of going into this, y'all, because, I'm working on, we've already had conversations with a couple of major shoe companies and stuff like that. So we're trying to set up something pretty big around this. So, when we're saying we're serious about it, we want serious inquiries only. If your kid doesn't have the discipline or you don't have the ability to make it to those 2 practices and that open court session, that's why we're going to tell you no, and you probably need to try the reserve squad, because we're looking for commitment, because we got a lot of big things attached to this that we're trying to set up and really create something that's going to be a pipeline for these kids.
Yeah, and I'm glad you thought about that. And a lot of this, being on a reserve team is not a knock for some kids. Not because some kids some kids play football. Depending on your program, usually doesn't really interfere a lot with weekend stuff during the summers, and so that's why. But if it starts interfering or you need some time off, it may be probably better for you to stay local, and it has nothing to do with your playing ability there. So we're going to be very honest and upfront. So you're going to come to the tryouts. So I'll tell you, run this. You're going to come to the tryouts, and you're going to be ready to go. The tryouts are at Abide Church. You're going to come to the main door. I think the building G. You'll come in. We'll get your name. Make sure you write legible.
Yeah, we need to be able to read your name and your contact information. That's hugely important. We got to be able to read it, because if we can't read it, we can't reach you.
Yeah, you got to come in here and write. Slow down. If you can't write, ask your friend to write for you. Ask your mom to come in here. It's okay. Get your contact information in. Stretch out. Be ready to go. We're going to jump right into some things. So we're about to do some drills. You expect a scrimmage. There's going to be some breakout sessions where we kind of talk. We want to see where you're at, what your goals are, and we'll talk about expectations. But you're going to work within that time. After the tryouts, we're going to be evaluating the whole time, and we're really in the eighth. I'm going to be honest with the 8th grade team. We're going to have some good players coming out there, and we have some that currently on our team that you're almost going to have to knock those kids out of their spot. Out of their spot. Which is possible. I love the competition.
Knock them out of their spot.
I love that competition, no matter the spot. But come out. Don't sit there and be afraid. Knock them out of their spot. High school's open. High school's going to be open. So it's, again, we're not just taking kids that didn't make a team. We're taking the kids that, I might have missed this, or, yep, I can do it. Or I didn't make the team. I won it. I got a chip on my shoulder. I want that kid. All that chip turns into positive, wins and teamwork. That's good. So be ready to work. After you have the tryouts, we will make a decision. We'll all sit down. I'll talk to Brian. Coach Ian will be there. We're getting help. We're getting help from Coach Charles Wilson. Shout out. I made that happen today. And we'll have a couple other surprise coaches that will come bring you guys out. And it's going to be about 6 of us. And then we're going to make a decision, and we're all going to agree on the list. Now, just because you did not make what you wanted to doesn't mean, again, you're out of it. You may be on the traveling team. You may be on the team that just kind of sits there and travels, sits there and just trains. But there's going to be a reason why, and we're going to explain that to you. But you don't have to worry about it if you go out there and do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
You know what you're supposed to do. But you're going to also want honesty. And for us, honestly, I don't want to coach 25 teams of the same age, because honestly, it starts, in my opinion, there's no knock. So this is my opinion. I see it gets watered down a little bit.
Right.
And I just want to have the best of the best of these players coming out.
And that's why I wanted to kind of roll that out there, because Coach Mo has some stuff he's got to take care of. But we're talking about quality over quantity. So we're not going to have 25 AAU programs. We're going to set a hard limit how many kids we can serve and keep the same quality. And so we're going to limit that. We're going to limit the number of kids on the team and number of teams that we have. So that's what we wanted to put out there. Now, like I said, we're building something. If you're asking what the difference is between us and some of the other AAU programs, I'll be straight up. We're a business. And because we're run like a business, there's a certain level of structure that we're going to have, certain level of things that we're going to be able to do that other organizations, they may not have the structure. It may be a little bit more informal. We're really trying to build a team and a concept around this so that we can provide the maximum value for the kids involved. That's why we're building the page with the athlete profiles, and we're putting, bios that the parents write on them, and putting the social media handles that these people can follow the kids on, so that they can kind of start getting to know these kids and start having these conversations about these kids at a higher level, because that's the end goal. You want other people in a small room talking about what your kid could do for their team. That's what we want. And so we want to create a pathway for that. So I hate to cut it short, guys, but that's all we got. If you have any questions, email us, Coach Mo at www.coachmoathletics.com. The email is coachmoathletics@gmail.com. Hit us up there with any questions. I got to get off of this thing because I got to go buy another camcorder so that we can record what's going on and make sure that we have video footage so we can make an informed decision. Coach Mo, do you have anything else?
Well, I'd like to thank our CMA 7th and 8th grade players, everybody that played, the parents, for completing the season. Very successful season for all teams. I mean, we saw so much growth, and what me and Brian was talking about, and the growth are from these kids that are coming to the basketball academy, to total athlete training, to coming to the practices, showing up on time for the game, and you just saw a big difference for those kids. So shout out to those kids. Shout out to the kids who are going to stick with us, basketball wise, and sorry we're transitioning, and the ones that are going to go into spring sports, but still come do total athlete training stuff with us. Like we're a year round thing, and we're a family. We don't want you to lose connection just because you're done with basketball. Doesn't mean you're done with training. And so shout out to those kids. Big shout out to Ramon Ware for being selected to the area All-Star game, the PACE All-Star game, for being one of the top 7th graders we got Fayette State right now. And then also Ami James being a top 8th grader who's selected also, one of the top 8th graders in the state is going to be selected to that All-Star game as well. And these weren't give me's. These guys proved it on the court. It wasn't just, they had one good game there. No, when we talk about what Brian says, get on the floor. The shots aren't happening. Play defense. Run back. Dive for a ball. Hustle. Talk. Communicate. Don't pout. Get your head up. Finish the game. Hit the free throws you need to. These are why these two got where they were at. And we're very proud of them. And so we appreciate them. We want to see you all there on Sunday. If you have any questions, hit us up. If not, show up and we'll talk to you while you're there. But don't hesitate if you think that you may not, or, just come out Sunday and see what happens.
Give us times, Coach Mo, on Sunday.
All right, so the tryout times are going to be 7 to 8:30. So 7 to 8, we're going to do most of our work. But that last 30 minutes, we'll kind of be narrow stuff down. The last 15 minutes, we're going to talk about what the callbacks and make sure that everything's written down right in there. And we'll go from there, and then we'll make a decision. We'll say 48 hours at the max. After that, so we're looking about Tuesday, and we'll have stuff posted or emailed to the parents so you'll know where you place, what team you are at, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So by gymnasium this Sunday, 7 to 8:30. Be there if you want to try out. And like I said, this is tryouts for our AAU program. And if you just want to play summer ball, this is tryouts for summer ball too. We're going to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's all we got. You know how to contact us. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your time and attention. This is Brian and Coach Mo.
All right, signing out. See you guys Sunday.
Peace.